In 2001, I opened a new gallery in Santa Fe, New Mexico, called Paxton and McCall Fine Art, 223 San Francisco. I lived in Kansas City and had to drive the 760-mile journey to Santa Fe as the market there seemed much better. Santa Fe really is a thriving artist market with some 200 plus galleries. I drove that journey some 38 times in the next 3 years, as I still had my ad agency business back in Kansas City in a nice home and certainly a wife and a life back here. Every 4 weeks I was off onto the Santa Fe Trail for another trip home or back to the gallery. It was a major task finding an appropriate space, somewhat near the main traffic flow to the downtown plaza, and the rent was unbelievably high at more than $10,000 a month. With the director and the utilities, insurance, and everything, we were running an overhead of some $20,000 to $25,000 a month. So we really had to swim fast. I knew the overhead was going to be high, but that is the art business. After signing the lease and getting the space ready with the new lighting, painting the floors white, and building all the sculpture podiums, we began setting in the paintings. We carried some 25 different artists that I had to choose to include, and naturally my work. I hired a guy who had been a director at another gallery who seemed like he knew how to be a director. However, after 6 weeks, it was obvious he was not committed to the project and began sliding in late every day and taking as much time off as he could imagine. I hired a fabulous woman named Carrie who took over and proved to be a great asset. I had researched the market there to see what the other galleries were pricing works and felt I had a rough idea how to price our works. It seemed like $3 to $4 a square inch was about the market. A 24 by 36 painting should therefore sell for around $3,400 or so. Slowly, we began selling art and saw firsthand how the price affected the speed of the sales. The first sale in the first week was a great feeling, despite the fact that it was only a $1,000 piece, but it was one of mine. Of course, more intricate or noticeably better paintings sold for more, but it really was a blind spot in determining which were the better pieces, as we discovered there is no accounting for public taste. I had one of my landscapes, a 40 by 60 inch painting on one wall, an unusual test of my trying to work larger for me. Using a rough formula, it sold for $8,000. I immediately tried more larger pieces, but soon discovered the real volume was in the smaller 16 by 20 pieces, selling for around $1,000. We discovered we were selling 10 to 20 of the smaller sizes to every one of the larger. I loved working larger, but realizing the reality of what was selling, I therefore focused on the smaller pieces. Easier to frame and ship, and many of the buyers took them with them as they were driving to and from Santa Fe. Even the small 8 by 10 pieces at $200 to $500 were selling well, but the real bread and butter were the 16 by 20s. In the first 12 months, I sold 223 of my paintings and some 100 of the other artists we carried. We also sold some sculpture, but only on rare occasions, about one a month. In my many years of trying to secure a good gallery connection to show my work, I never felt it was easy or very successful. It just made sense that owning the gallery would eliminate having to be subjected to the whims of another gallery. They only sold a few pieces a year, and even getting paid was an issue. Despite the risk, I felt owning the gallery made more sense. I had no idea how much more work that would be, though, and in running a gallery, I found out is a 7-day-a-week job from 9 in the morning until dark, and on Friday night openings, they usually lasted till midnight. Then every 4 weeks, I had to drive back to Kansas City for a week to catch up on my ad business back there. I did have a studio at the gallery in the back. Carrie had an office area near the front and took care of most of the traffic that came in, but I had to wait on clients when more than one set came in. We also had a couple of other part-time representatives who were well trained and very capable. I figured out that if we paid them more than the other galleries, we would get great extra help, and it proved correct. They made an hourly wage and a 25% of the gross sale commission on their sales. That made them very happy. I soon learned that framing was a great big issue. I had the woodworking equipment back in Kansas City to make frames, but there was never enough time. I found buying pre-made frames from various sources to be the best way. After experimenting with several companies, I found a few where I was getting nice frames from the $50 to $150 range, depending on the size. I soon figured out that buying canvases that fit standard size frames was essential. I cannot emphasize enough how important frames are. I tried unframed paintings and they never sold. Even some abstract pieces by one of our other painters just hung there, unsold. Later, after I had the first gallery in Santa Fe, I began learning much more about how to really make substantial frames. Trial and error, securing corners to last, using automotive finishes to gain superior results, and using basswood were all the tricks I slowly got to gain. Frame making is just as hard to learn as drawing. Look forward to seeing some more of these videos about being an artist and owning a gallery. I call these Naked Artist Exposure. So if you're interested, give us a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and feel free to contact us if you have any questions. Once again, I'm Preston McCall and thank you.